Are you hearing us?
Hi, this is Neal with Graveside Paranormal Tours, gravesideparanormal.com, Graveside Paranormal on YouTube. How's everybody liking the tour tonight? Adam, are you here? Talk to us.
Hello everyone, this is Neal with Spirits by the Graveside, presented by Graveside Paranormal. Tonight's date is October 1st. It is a full moon. Happy Halloween month. Welcome to all of you. This will be recorded and will be out on the 4th, which is a Sunday now at 7 p.m. You can catch that on YouTube. You can also catch it on Spotify and Anchor FM. Now, what we're going to talk about tonight, we are going to talk about the origin of Halloween and witches. And I have on tonight Miss Michelle Ward, who is part of our team. Say hi, Michelle.
Hello, everyone.
How you been, Michelle?
Good. Busy. Keeping busy. Can't complain. Not too bad.
All right. Well, let's start off this show just right. Now, remember, this is called Spirits by the Graveside, so grab your favorite drink, no matter what it is. Pop that top. I'm about to do mine. You do yours. Sit back, relax, and it's showtime. All right, first off, let's do the news, Michelle. This week, just so everybody knows, Haunted Joliet Prison came out by Wendy Moxley Rowe.
Got my book today.
Did you get your book today? I'm actually kind of waiting on mine still, and you know what? I ordered it a little early. But Wendy was really, really cool. She sent me something so I can review it, and I'm really, really enjoying the stories. I always love those stories, those kind of stories, especially the story about the crooner who, the singing guy at the cemetery. That's always a really cool story. People can get it on Amazon right now, and also what's so cool about it is Wendy is going to be at our event.
Yay!
Spirits by the Moon, by the full moon, is going to be our event at the Forge in Blue Island, Illinois on Halloween from 8 to 2 o'clock. Now, ladies and gentlemen, one really cool thing that we are going to be doing for the first time ever. I've been researching this. Michelle's been helping me, Tom and Steve. We are going to try to do scrying, smoke scrying for the first time. We're building a box. You cannot do smoke because it's a building. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some fog machines. Scrying, what we're going to do is we're going to try to call upon spirits at midnight, the full moon, a blue full moon, and we're going to see if we can get anything, objects, like someone's face, maybe a full apparition, maybe develop within the scrying box. So we're building that right now. And the other thing that we're doing right now, did you know, Michelle, we are doing a new platform for Spirits by the Graveside. That's you and me tonight. We are the first ones doing it, you and me.
That is right.
That is correct. You are so right.
I am so lucky to be the first one.
Yes, you are. Once again, so this new platform, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be on Sunday nights, recorded it'll be on 7 p.m. on Spotify and Anchor FM, as well as our YouTube series, which is Graveside Paranormal. Make sure you tune in. We are going to still do every now and then, some Facebook Live events, but this is going to be the new platform because we want to put out the best product that we can for our audience. We did talk about the scrying tonight, so let's try to get into what we want to talk about tonight. The origin of Halloween. That's right, kiddies. Let's talk about why do we take one day out of the year to dress and scare each other? Why do we trick or treat? How did this really develop? Well, I got a perfect guest for tonight. Miss Michelle Ward will be talking about witches, cats, black cats, and broomsticks. Whereas myself, I will just talk about Halloween and how it was originated. So sit back, relax. Like I said, grab your favorite drink. I got mine. I hope you got yours.
Got my brew.
Perfect. Alright, so I'm going to take my first swig. Halloween originated with the Celts and their calendar, which is very interesting. Their calendar was divided by the light half and the dark half of the year. So I'm assuming about 7 months, 5 months, we're actually on October 31st was the beginning of the dark half, of course. And a lot of festivals happened with the Celts, which was called Samhain. And that was over at least 2,000 years ago. What happened is that they would start bonfires to welcome the new year for the harvest. So what they would do is they started actually Halloween for like the first bonfire. A lot of people, they go out and they do bonfires at this time of year. I'm going to be having one this Saturday at my own home. It'll be a lot of fun. So this is actually something that leads into Halloween. And so this started with the Celts starting off with bonfires. Supposedly on this night, the veil for the living and the dead was at its thinnest. And with its thinnest, supposedly they believed that they could easily be able to see through the fires and the smoke, kind of like scrying, spirits. And they would call upon these. Now, Christians originally adopted this pagan tradition. Now, the reason why they adopted this was because they wanted to bring more people who were pagans into their belief. So they adopted a lot of their holiday stuff called Lemuria, which was originally on May 13th, and changed to All Saints' Day to honor the holy Christians. That was originally done. Now, All Saints' Day was originally moved to November 1st and called All Hallows' Eve. So, and that's the day after Halloween. Now, October 31st was originally called Samhain, changed to All Hallows' Evening, and then was changed to Halloween. November 1st became All Hallows' Day to follow. Basically what it was if people were invoking bad spirits or anything like that, well, the next following day was to clean all that up, basically. That's what that was used for. So after time, another holiday was invoked called All Souls' Day, which then was a follow-up to that holiday, which became November 2nd, to honor saints and Christians that we know of today. The church actually started trick-or-treat. How they started trick-or-treat was in the medieval times on All Souls' Day. What they would do is they would have people go out to people's house and get a thing called souls cakes. And they were kind of like, almost little like cookie-ish, cookie dough, and they had like raisins in them. And what they would do is they would knock on people's door to get these. Now these were the poor and the indigent. And they would go out there and they would go and knock on people's door. And then what they would do is they would pray for people who were in purgatory, so that they could eventually get out purgatory and make their way to heaven. Or maybe the other way. You never know. Now, Michelle, have you heard of these things?
Oh, of course I have. Being from the Irish family.
Just like me?
That's right. Every Halloween, we actually tried to keep some of those old traditions alive.
Okay.
The trick-or-treating. Every year we had parties. Every year we sat around, would tell the ghost stories, and there were always these little desserts, every Halloween. Big party for us.
Right. You had people who made those popcorn balls, and they made the
popcorn balls,
and the candy apple.
The candy corns.
Right.
The bobbing for the apples.
But now, let's lead you into talking about witches, brooms, and cats and the origin of that.
Witches.
So, Go ahead.
So, when we actually hear the word witch, most of us automatically think of the Hollywood image that we see on screen, such as the Wicked Witch of the East from The Wizard of Oz, and that was portrayed by Margaret Hamilton. And we even think of Glinda, the Good Witch, who was played by Billy Burke. But whether it's Good Witch or Bad Witch, they've actually been around for centuries. And the word witch is actually derived from the word Wicca, which means wise one.
Okay.
So, and they exist in every culture, even to this day. Every country you go to, there is some type of witch. Native Americans, they had a medicine man. That's a type of a witch. In Mexico, they call them the bruja, which leads to Santeria. That's a type of witchcraft.
Right.
Kind of the dark witchcraft, which we'll get into that later.
Okay.
So all over the world, you're going to find a witch in every culture. So the first recorded witch trials I actually found in the history books is that of a woman named Dame Alice de Kittler. And this actually took place in Kilkenny, Ireland, around 1324, I believe.
Okay.
And now Dame Alice was actually married 4 times. And when husband number 4 all of a sudden became sick, he decided to change his will to make Alice would be well compensated after his death. So after he did die, I guess all of the children from his previous marriage found out they had no inheritance. So they actually accused Alice of poisoning their father and casting evil spells on all of them.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, she was actually accused of denying the Catholic faith. She was accused of blasphemy, running a brothel, dismembering animals, and witchcraft even.
Wow. Now, she was accused of it. Did they ever find any truth behind it?
Well, here's the thing. All the complaints they brought to the local bishops. They did their investigations. And, back then, they all decided, oh, well, there's a coven of witches here in Kilkenny, and she's got to be the ringleader of all of it. So she was actually arrested, along with a bunch of her servants. And she was only in prison for 17 days. And somehow, I forget how she was released. But they kept her servants, and of course they tortured them, put them under stress, and, these somewhat illiterate servants confessed to witchcraft.
Sure. They were manipulated.
Yeah, manipulated. And you could see that happening to this day in certain instances.
Sure.
But now after Alice heard this news, she actually fled. And it was believed that she actually fled to England. But there was no records that existed after 1324 of her. So the townspeople actually went to her house and searched, for some signs of witchcraft. And they actually found strange ointments, strange powders. Apparently there was a bottle of dead man's fingernails.
Well, you gotta have that, man. Come on.
Yeah. Eye of newt just laying around, but there were other various atrocities, they said, like the fat of murdered infants.
Oh, God. Fat of Oh, my God. I mean, how do you... First off, hold on. Let me stop.
Yeah.
How do you know it's the fat of murdered infants?
Exactly. Again, these are accusations. And there was no proof that they were actually found in her house, but they were dragging things out of her house. I guess they were burning them in front of the public. So, but one of her servants was actually flogged and burned at the stake. And her servant was named Petronella, and she was actually the first woman, the first person in Ireland to be charged and burned at the stake.
Really? And was it the English who killed her?
That was part of the Irish, actually.
Really?
See, and that started part of the mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
And then that actually leads up into the Salem witch trials in Massachusetts, which most of us are very familiar with.
Sure, we've all heard about it.
We've all heard about it. And that occurred between February of 1692, and I believe it lasted to May of 1693. And it all started because a couple of girls, young teenage girls, claimed to be possessed by the devil. Mm-hmm. And so they started pointing fingers, naming a few locals that, oh, they're the evildoers. They put me under their spell. Pretty much just picking out people who they didn't like in the town. Oh, she's the old lady. She lives by herself. She's weird. She must be a witch.
Kind of like pointing fingers at other people so that nobody looks at them.
Exactly.
You know, because I don't want to be dropped in water.
Right. Burned at the stake.
Burn at the stake. Or any of those things that they were doing to these young ladies.
Just insane what happened. And the first person convicted during the Salem witch trials was Bridget Bishop. Mm-hmm. She was hung on June 10th, 1692, and she was actually accused of bewitching the 5 girls, the accusers.
Now, let's just stop for a second. Bewitching. Is that where, like, a spell is being put on someone?
Yes.
Where they're basically getting them to think a certain ways. There was some kind of, like, either ointment or some kind of spell put on somebody where they have mind control. Is that how it works?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All
they
right.
believe that, or it could be like the evil eye. She looked at me funny. She put a spell on me. Anything was believable back then.
Now, yeah, there's been people who have said that, you know, like they've gone, like, we'll talk about, like, people from different countries that come over here that they originated from somewhere else, and somebody will go, hey, man, that lady put the evil eye on me.
Right.
And she's not going to take it off. Take it off. Take it off. And then bad luck just finds the person totally after that.
Exactly.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, with these girls, the accusers, they actually had these fits of outrage, just started uncontrollably moving around, thrusting, and slowly this hysteria started creeping through the village. And actually, during her trials, Bridget was examined, and it was said that she had a 3rd nipple on her. A nubbin.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it gets adult. Where was this 3rd nipple?
On her. And I don't know. But I do not know.
They didn't have pictures. They didn't have Polaroids back then.
No, just sketches back then.
Sketches. So we're going to just say somewhere upon her body there was a 3rd nipple.
It was a 3rd nubbin.
All right, we'll
but
go
even
there.
Back then, people with strange birthmarks.
Sure.
People that wrote with their left hands. They could be sign of the devil.
That, you know what?
Even red-haired people. Oh, sign of the devil.
Hold on. Now, they're going to say red-headed people, and they all live in Ireland.
Well, so you would think. You would think that the majority of people in Ireland are red-haired. In fact, they're dark-haired.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of blonde-haired people in Ireland.
Blonde-haired, yes.
Now, let's talk about, because we're still on witches, when we're talking about spells and stuff, people need to understand that witches were originally doing this to actually heal people, am I correct?
Right.
When they had Wicca, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Well, and it doesn't necessarily mean Wicca. And you have to think, back then, we didn't have the doctors or the hospitals where you could just go and schedule an appointment. You had to rely on what Mother Nature gave you. And there were certain women in the towns that were very, very knowledgeable in herbal remedies and medicinal ointments. Mm-hmm. And some of these women even assisted in childbirths. You could call them midwives back then.
Okay.
But, as time passed, people started looking at these women as strange. They didn't conform to society. They kept to themselves, so that could lead them to believe, well, maybe there's something supernatural going on with them.
Okay. Yeah, that is a lot of people. They misconstrued back then, thinking that people were making these things to bring the devil or Satan or something evil out. Whereas actually a lot of them were just helping people in the community. Because we all know that a lot of medications, they derive from what is nature.
Right.
So let me let you continue.
Well, and the thing with that is they took a lot of these healers and these medicine women and accused them of evil doing solely because that back then they believed that men were the only ones allowed to participate in any type of healing. So, and since these women also wouldn't convert to the Catholic Church, they were burned alive, some were hung, or some were just tortured in other ways.
Right. And like I was talking about earlier, the Catholic Christians, they were trying to adopt as many pagans as they could and get them in there. And so they adopted some of their things, like we were talking about on the May 13th, the All Souls Day or Saints Day. They went and adopted that, which originally came from a pagan holiday.
Exactly. You can look at the weeks, the names of our weeks. They're all pagan names. Thursday, Thor Day. Friday, Freya, on and on. Every day of the week is named after a pagan god. Some of our holidays are actually based on pagan holidays. For example, Halloween, All Souls Day, and Samhain, some say Samhain.
I always call it Samhain.
Right, I call it Samhain, whatever, it's the same thing.
Right. Or basically Samhain was a thing for harvesting. Right. That's how it began. And it originated and originated from the Irish. Right. So what about how did cats get adopted into this? Black cats?
Well, you have to think. Originally, the cats were worshipped in Egypt. They were looked upon as gods, goddesses, for beauty, for fertility. Actually, in Egypt, many years ago, anyone caught killing a cat could be sentenced to death.
I do remember reading something like that once, yes.
And again, going back to your Norse or pagan mythology, if you look at Freya, who is Odin's wife, the goddess of love, beauty, fertility, her chariot is pulled by two cats. Really? But every decent witch has to have a familiar. So, and basically the cat is the first one that pops into mind. Okay. And many legends will even say that black cats were the spirits of witches recreated into an animal form.
To probably help other witches?
Well, or to go out and do their evil doings.
Oh,
so the cats could sneak out at night and put spells on other people or whatever you believe.
Right. So how does that, how do witches also origin for the broomstick?
Well, the broomstick was actually used for pretty much like a cleansing ritual. Before any good witch would perform a spell, she would clean her area. But then you think too, any medicine woman, if she's going to perform any type of potions or make any type of potions, what have you, she's going to clean her area. One, for, hey, there's dirt laying on the floor, let's clean up the counters. And also she's going to use the broom to remove negativity from the area. And the notions that witches flew on the broomsticks, I believe that started when witches were preparing for Samhain. They were harvesting their herbs, and they would use a balm to anoint themselves. Apply it on their skin, rub it on their face, and there was something in this balm that would make their skin shiny at night. So some of these villagers would be passing by at night, maybe had one too many cocktails, And I'm sure they would see some woman in the forest glowing in the moonlight, and who knows what you begin to think.
Wow. But how did it get that they were riding on broomsticks?
Well, there were a lot of medicinal herbs back then that they would use, like hemlock would be one, wolfsbane, and you brought up sage, but some of these, such as belladonna, was said to have caused people to see these witches flying on broomsticks. It's also called deadly nightshade, and if not used very carefully, it can be very, very deadly. So this plant also has these red berries on it, which seem to be very enticing to people. And if you're unaware of what these red berries are, and you eat one, you could start hallucinating. It could cause loss of balance, delirium, a lot of unpleasant symptoms. So people would probably eat these and see these women start hallucinating. And part of these were actually used in LSD.
Oh.
So you think about certain people that have had, their acid trips, their LSD trips. Hey, they're flying around in the moon. Look at that.
Yeah, that can
Who
go. Who
knows what you could see?
Yeah, that can go back to our Ultra radio show that we were doing about MK Ultra.
Exactly.
But that's that. We're talking about this.
Right.
So what other?
Yes,
go ahead. I'm
so
sorry.
many herbs that were used back then. Henbane was another one that was very similar to belladonna when it was ingested. People could see things, have crazy visions.
Now, who was in cinematic? Who was your best witch, would you say, or was in the movies?
Oh, goodness. There's so many. Like I mentioned before, of course, there's Margaret Hamilton, Glinda, the Good Witch. But I have to say, one of my all-time favorites is probably the cast of The Craft.
Now, speaking about The Craft, and I'm glad you brought this up, isn't there supposed to be a part 2 sequel that's coming out?
Yes.
Oh, you don't sound too thrilled about it.
This is hard. I'm not big on sequel movies.
Okay.
I would have been better off if they would have had a movie, Where Are They Now? Is Nancy still in the asylum? Something instead of, hey, let's do this movie all over again. Just like they did with Charmed.
Like a cash grab, basically.
Right. They had a whole new cast. Similar story. I tried to watch it. I just couldn't get into it.
Did you like Hocus Pocus?
Love Hocus Pocus. All those witchy movies. Hocus Pocus. Trying to get my niece into it right now. She's 4. She's getting past the Nightmare Before Christmas stage. So now we're moving on to Hocus Pocus.
Now, who would be the scariest witch that you just looked at and you said, "Oh my God"?
Oh.
For me, it was the witch from Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. See, she didn't scare me. I'm hard to scare.
Yeah.
When it comes to witches, they don't scare me that much. It's the people that are possessed by demons. Those are the ones that scare me.
Yeah, we know those. We know those. We've met those.
Yeah.
We've definitely met those. But, I really like talking about subjects like this. I think it's really great. Now, you have done witchcraft. Am I correct on that?
Yes. Only good witch. I'm a good witch, not a bad witch.
You're kind of like Windy Witch from Casper?
Yeah, it could be a little bit.
Now, I remember when you and I went to Whispers Estate, and these girls, they just knew.
Wow.
I asked these girls right away because I was able to look at the tattoos that they had. And I asked them, are they witches? Are you girls witches? And they wouldn't answer me. But they answered Michelle.
That I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
I had just joined. That was my first investigation with you guys. So, I was a little nervous,
Sure.
Wanted to do a good job, but they pulled me off to the side, and they just showed me the tattoos. But the weird thing is I had that exact same tattoo on the back of my neck.
Right.
And there's no way they could have seen it because I had a sweatshirt on. It was a little chilly, rainy out that night.
Yeah, it was.
And I think my hair was covering it. So unless I pulled down the back of my sweatshirt, that would be the only way you could see it. So
Yeah, that was.
having to call me out on that was a little odd.
Yeah, they were very strange ladies.
Right.
I had to say they were nice, but at the same time very strange, and
Right.
it's just a weird thing. It's just weird how they picked up on you really quick.
And that's not the first time that's happened. We've been on vacation in St. Augustine on a ghost tour, and you'll have to ask Chris, my hubby, one day about this, but we're in the middle of the tour, and all of a sudden the tour guide just picks me out of the crowd, points out and says, oh, some people in this group who are sensitive. So I was like, oh, okay, how do you know that? So, interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, you know what?
before.
Sometimes sensitives can pick out other sensitives. It's just
Right, and
you know,
I can do that too. I can tell, like, something's up with this person. I can
Right.
tell right away.
yeah.
Good, bad, their vibe, I can tell within the first 30 minutes.
Now, have you ever come across somebody that you just knew that just from what you do and being a witch that you knew that this person was just bad, evil person?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I like to call them energy vampires.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that.
Even though these people may not be aware they're doing it, it's like they suck the life out of you. And sometimes it could be just the negativity that they give off.
Mm-hmm.
There's even times where, even though a person is not telling me their personal struggles, I can feel it.
Sure.
I feel it like I just been shocked by, an electrical shock. Or the way I describe it is I'm standing in the middle of a tornado, and that person's energy is spinning around me, spinning around me, spinning around. Like, I gotta get away from you.
Sure.
It just feels like it drains you.
Yeah, you've told me about this before, and then you just feel drained, like you need a Snickers bar or something.
Right? Yeah. Change my face.
Yeah, you gotta change something. Now let me ask you another question. It's a Halloween question.
Yes.
What is the costume that you remember wearing first as a child? Do you remember?
Oh boy. It was probably one of those crazy plastic masks from the 70s, maybe Wonder Woman.
Okay, yeah, Wonder Woman, Linda Carter.
Yeah, I think
like
it was
that.
one of those. Hey, baby. Yeah, I was. Gosh, oh my gosh, I'm dating myself. I'm old.
Yeah.
But yeah, remember those plastic masks? You got the bottom part,
Yep.
which is just some cheap fabric that you tied around your neck and your back.
Yep.
And then this plastic mask, and you couldn't ever see out of it. My mom always had to cut the eyes out bigger.
Yeah, because it's kind of funny. It's funny, but it's not. It's that
Right.
they gave you these flammable outfits.
Oh yeah, poof, you're gone.
I think they originally came from Kirby or something like that. And I remember the boxes that they came in.
Right.
And you would see the face first. There would be Superman or Batman or Wonder
Right.
Woman, and then you had the little costume underneath. And it was amazing back in those days how the parents used to let these kids walk around. But did you know that originally when trick-or-treating first started and kids started using it, we're talking like in the about 1939, because that's actually when trick-or-treating first started. Did you know that?
I love looking at those pictures. If you want to see creepy pictures, Google Halloween pictures from the 1920s, 1930s. These people have potato sacks over their heads.
They are wearing paper outfits.
Anything they could find.
Yes, they're wearing Indian outfits, cowboy outfits.
Right. They're the creepiest looking costumes, and I love it.
Oh, it's. I'm telling you, some of those masks are like, it looks like a dead person.
Right.
It's totally unbelievable. Back in that time period, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, it was just unbelievable.
And they were so creative for back then in the day for Halloween.
Yeah.
Now we just go to the store and buy everything.
Well,
not me.
Well,
just to make all my costumes.
Well, like I was talking about, you're talking about going out to the store and go buying packaged candy. Well, actually, like I said, 1939 actually started trick-or-treating, and that's when they actually started doing packaged candy for the kids as treats. And the kids would knock on the door trick-or-treat. And one of the reasons why is because also in 1933, there was a thing called Black Halloween, where all these people went crazy. Because you got to remember, you're in the Depression, okay? People are hungry. People cannot tolerate things. So they're going out they're doing more tricks or any kind of deviant behavior, basically mischief, and they're breaking windows. They're throwing eggs. A lot of these things, the Halloween that you and I know, came from the Depression era of the trick of where they would put poop in a bag, put it on the fire, set it on fire, throwing eggs, breaking windows. So that was also part of where Halloween. A lot of these things came into what Halloween we know now, because we still know. You and I know when we were growing up, it was shaving cream and eggs. Right,
and that's the parties we would have, the games we played. I don't know. Do you remember? You would put coins of money on a cookie sheet and put flour on top.
No, I never. No.
You have to. This got so gross. You had the one cousin who had boogers, but the object was to put your hands behind your back and dig the money out of the flour with your teeth. So you would pray to God that you were one of the first people to go, because, like I said, by the time.
Good. You see that's why
it was a trick.
Yeah, that's why we lived in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, it was, drank beer, ate lead. We're still alive.
Yeah. Now, pumpkins. Did you love doing pumpkins with your family?
Oh yes, I still do pumpkins. It's still, and that's the thing I love about my sisters is we try to instill those old traditions with her kids. I don't have children, but many nieces and nephews, so every year we go to the pumpkin patch. Every year we carve pumpkins, we make the cookies, and we haven't done it in quite a few years, but every year we would have a big Halloween party.
Right.
So, but now COVID, what are you going to do?
Well, you can still go get pumpkins and have some people outside.
Still get pumpkins, and we're still having a small party.
We're not saying no to Halloween, my friend. That's why we're doing this show tonight, because we want to talk about the origins of Halloween and how you and I had Halloween, and so that we can continue on with this.
Because I am a witch, I was actually willing to light myself on fire, to sacrifice myself to save Halloween. I'm kidding. I'm not that crazy.
So, let me get this right. On our party at the Forge, ladies and gentlemen, Michelle is going to be lit at the stake because she's a witch.
That's right.
Oh my God!
I'll sacrifice myself for all of your souls.
Thank you. Oh man, you're awesome. Now,
I told you I'm a good witch.
You're a good witch who's trying to do good, but it might come out to be bad because 911's going to be called. I'm going to be arrested because I'm going to get blamed for everything. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I know. You're Neal, so why not?
Why not? So we were talking about pumpkins. Do you know the origin of pumpkins for Halloween?
Well, yes, of course. It started over in Ireland, sir, and it actually started with gourds. They started carving gourds out, putting little lights inside, putting them on their porch, with the idea of keeping the dead spirits away. They would see the lights inside of these gourds, and, that would try to cast the evil spirits away.
Right. And one of the stories is that there was a guy named Jack. That's where we get the thing Jack-o'-lantern. Is that Jack was a bad dude. He was so bad that even the devil wanted him out of hell. I mean, this guy was so bad. I mean, the devil didn't want him there. So he gave Jack, because he felt pity for him while he was walking through the darkness, he gave him some ember and put it inside of a turnip. And he was cast out of hell. And that's actually some of the reasons why we got the word Jack-o'-lantern. That's interesting stuff. I thought that was interesting. But that's how that originally started. But for over 2,000 years ago to our new year of 2020, Halloween has evolved to what we see today. not to what we're seeing in 2020. I understand that, it's a little bit different for everybody, but it's the second most important holiday in American society. They make money. You remember back in the day, we didn't have all these spirit stores and this and that. It was just, you went to Woolworth and you went and got your costume. Halloween is so big that it's right up there with Christmas now. It's two different holidays, but yet it has where everybody wants to be part of Halloween, no matter what. Either because you're a little bit older, you go out and want to see these kids, you want to see them in their costumes. It's really cool. And I think every single time nowadays, it seems to get a little less and less. And that's a shame, because I really want these kids to be able to go out and enjoy themselves. And the adults to relive some of the things that go on with Halloween. So over 2,000 years ago, this was starting with the Celts, a tradition that we know now in 2020. And so amazing through like the Christian church, Catholic church, pagans, how it has all evolved from one thing like Samhain to the day that we see it now as now we know Halloween. And people just love going out and just having a good time. And that's what we want to do for all these people is we're saying, no, there's going to be a Halloween this year. You know what I'm saying, Michelle? We're going to give people what they want. We're going to have some fun, some good old-fashioned fun, tell some good stories on Halloween, which is a blue full moon. And, I just want to say to everybody is, hey, go out and do some trick-or-treating. The kids are already wearing masks. They already got gloves on.
That's right. I'm still decorating my house. I am still passing out candy. I'm still celebrating Halloween.
Hell yeah, you have to. It's something, we're not going to say, no, this isn't going to happen. Not me, man. I'm celebrating Halloween, and I'm throwing a huge party for everybody. Right. I want everybody to come out. We're going to do an investigation. So, Michelle, what other things do you remember as Halloween as the most, something that you totally remember about Halloween?
The one thing I always look forward to as a kid was every year at our school, we had Halloween costume contests.
Sure.
And we would always, anyone who wore costume would line up outside. We would actually parade around the block, around the school block. Teachers would stand out there and judge on the costumes. So I always enjoyed that. Always look forward to that. And you try to have the best costume because you wanted to beat that Barbie doll girl. You wanted that first prize.
Sure. Well, no, not me. Not me.
Yeah, you were the He-Man.
Yeah, man. That He-Man. Oh, man, that He-Man or Batman. Jesus. That's the stuff that I loved. But I loved always going home, and you would walk around with a pillowcase. I didn't use those plastic bags.
Go home, dump your candy, go back out again.
Yeah, you went out there and did that. So, other than that, I would like to say to everybody, I want you to start off. We're going to do every show on Sundays this month in October, and we're going to do something different. Next week, we are going to be talking about cemeteries and the origins of cemeteries and certain things that you don't know about cemeteries. I'm going to have Chris, our angel card reader. She's going to be on. She's also going to be at our event at the Forge in Blue Island, Illinois. She'll be out there reading cards for people. Michelle, I thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Let's go out with a little bit of music here. Some scary music. Boys and girls, Halloween has not been canceled. It's going to continue. And you can be damn sure that Graveside Paranormal, Spirits by the Graveside, will make sure that your Halloween treats are going to be very fulfilling. Thank you all for listening tonight. I am Neal, and that is Michelle. Say bye, Michelle.
Bye, everyone.
Good night. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, say it with me, Michelle. Boo. Good night. Happy Halloween. Happy October 1st, full moon.
Merry till we meet, merry till we part, merry till we meet again, so mote it be.
What she said.
That's right.
Happy October.
This is Neal with Graveside Paranormal and Spirits by the Graveside. Every Sunday night at 7 o'clock, we will be on Anchor FM, Spotify, as well as YouTube channel of the episodes that we do. We also do investigative tours throughout the Chicagoland area through Graveside Paranormal Investigative Tours. And also we do investigate the paranormal. So if you have a problem or anything like that, we are more than happy to help. Our number is 708-227-7747. Once again, 708-227-7747. Boo.